Welcome everybody. We're sitting inside an exhibition, or rather we sit inside several exhibitions, because this exhibition is not really a normal group show. It is a show that contains another show which contains another show, and in the middle of everything there is almost like a stage, and I'm standing on the stage. There will be a lot of activities all summer, but this is the start of it all. Poetry will be made by all. Is a project that relates back to something that happened here in Stockholm in the late 1960s and then traveled around in Europe. But of course it's not about that moment, it's about what's going on today. And today is there's a series of readings, and it's part of Simon Castes and Hans Ulrich Obrist's project 89+, that has to do with the poetry and art in the digital era, what has happened with new possibilities for production and distribution of imagery and language. And I'm so happy that you're all here. I'm sure that people will come and go. It's a long day, but I'm happy that there are already tons of people here when we start. Hans, I would want to thank you and Simon for putting this program together, and I look forward to the whole day. Welcome.
Daniel, thank you so much, and many thanks to the amazing team at the Moderna Museets for making all of this possible, and of course also to the Luma Foundation. This is a collaborative project between Moderna Museets in Stockholm and the Luma Foundation in Arles, and we're very grateful to Maya Hoffmann. The tower of Simon Denny and Alessandro Bava will, after Stockholm, travel to Arles. I wanted to begin with the beginning, and it sort of all started, maybe it actually all started in 1991, because I was somehow living in Switzerland. I was always traveling in night trains through Europe, and I could never really afford hotels, so I would always, do one city one day and then take a night train and do this for 20-30 days in a row. And then finally, in 1990, I got a grant from the Kreativiteten Foundation when I was 22. And it was amazing. It was outside Paris, the outskirts of Paris, and I could finally leave Switzerland, for exile for 3 months, and I could, stay there and live there. And it totally transformed my life, this residency. So I always thought, one day later, because it's so important that such a residency can happen very early on in a trajectory, that somehow, sometime later it would be great to kind of organize such a thing for a new emerging generation. Then I met Simon about 5 years ago in Yokohama, and we felt it would be important to sort of start to think about the digital, and the whole generation was actually born in '89, and younger, as Ryan Trecartin said, there's this amazing generation of artists born in the 1990s, and we have to start to look at their work. And we decided with Simon to kind of start to think about what that implies also in terms of digital curating. In a way, because we revisit here an exhibition of Pontus Hultén and Ronald Hunt, it's maybe interesting also to think about Stuart Brand, because Stuart Brand also in the 60s published the first Whole Earth Catalogue, which is a countercultural DIY compendium selling useful products and disseminating information to anyone interested in creating new ways of life. A curatorial figure himself, who has organized conferences and created exhibitions, Brand recognized very early on that personal computers held the possibility for great social renovation. An intuition that came to him actually as early as 1962, as he told me, when he witnessed Stanford computer scientists playing Space War, one of the first video games. Brand saw computing as another form of access to tools, as he described his famous catalogue, the Whole Earth Catalogue. Recently, when we spoke, Brand told me that he believes curating has been democratized by the net. So in one sense, everybody is curating. If you're writing a blog, it's curating. So we're becoming editors and curators, and those two are blending. In a way, in the field of exhibition, the potential of digital life is only beginning to be explored. And that's really where 89+ enters. We wanted to sort of start to begin to see patterns that connect, and started to develop an archive of more than 6,000 artists, architects, practitioners all over the world, where every day, artists upload on our site. And many of the patterns we found and which connect include ecology, resources, the filter bubble, questions of surveillance, many parallel realities, as in quantum physics. But one of the most striking things we discovered very early on is this amazing new generation of poetry which emerges. And so we wanted actually to make the first exhibition of 89 plus, because we so far waited to do exhibition. It's mostly residencies, it's mostly long-term support for artists, but to make the first exhibition about poetry. And we were inspired by the exhibition, as Daniel said, poetry will be made by all. It was originally called Poetry Must Be Made by All, but as Kandinsky said, there is no must in art because art is free. There is no must in poetry because poetry is free. Hence we got rid of the must and we transformed it into poetry will be made by all. So this is what you see here. And in a way, the long-term research project goes on, and poetry will be made by all. Debuted actually in 2014 at the Luma Foundation Westbau in the Löwenbräu building in Zürich. It was co-curated there with Ubu Webb's Kenneth Goldsmith and Danny Snelson. And the exhibition expanded on the emergent poetics of online distribution system and also the prominence of poetry in all our previous 89 plus project. It brought together works from renowned and upcoming international poets within displays created by their peers working in design, visual arts and also architecture, and highlighted how the written word, far from being diminished, is finding a renewed importance within today's digital information network. So in a way, it used this exhibition, curated by Ronald Hunt at the invitation of Pontus Hultén, not in a nostalgic way, but he kind of used it as a toolbox in a way, no? So to use the past in a way, or fragments from the past to invent the future. So we're obviously very, very excited when Daniel started to tell us about this wonderful exhibition he's organizing here and the possibility of a collaboration to actually bring the project, to return the project to its place of origin and to further embrace the collective impetus that Hunt called for in his catalogue Introduction. Here a quote from Ronald Hunt: "The creator of the work of art can be an individual, but it might also be a group." And that led us then to invite Simon Denny and Alessandro Bava to actually create this tower, to host readings and performances, as well as also the ever-growing archive of 1,000 books by 1,000 poets, which is co-published by us, by 89 Plus, in conjunction with the Luma Foundation. So the idea is that to publish very often the first book of these poets, and it's in this sense, you can say the tower of Simon and Alessandro is also a book machine. And it's wonderful that Barbara van der Linden is here today, because in 1999 we did actually a project in Antwerpen called Laboratorium, where we had invited Bruce Mao to develop the catalogue for the exhibition, and he came up with this idea of a book machine. So every day, in a way, new pages were produced. And here it's actually books which are being produced. You can find them in the center of the tower. And we are very, very delighted that the two artists, architects, designers of the tower, Simon Denny and Alessandro Bava, are here. Please give them a very, very big applause. We are, of course, also very, very delighted that many of the poets of the project joined us here today for this very polyphonic reading this afternoon. And in a way, I think the topic Daniel chose for this exhibition, the Babel topic, is an extremely urgent topic for the 21st century. After Babel is about the many languages that form part of our world, and in a way it has a lot to do with what Etel Adnan says, to whom we dedicate this tower and actually everything. We dedicate everything to Etel Adnan. We are all convinced that Etel Adnan should win the next Nobel Prize for Literature. So this is also to Etel Adnan and to her Nobel Prize of Literature. The other thing is that Giovanna Olmos created a very special news section here for Stockholm, because in a way, wherever the project goes, we locally make a lot of research. We invite local practitioners here in the context, of course, Sweden, to participate in the project. And Giovanna has, together with our wonderful 89 Plus team and the wonderful Moderna Museets team, developed an amazing project. She will talk about it in a minute. But before that, I wanted to actually welcome and thank the amazing poets who are here in the order of appearance as they will appear here this afternoon. Clara Ström, Andrew Durbin, the Council for Grand Art, Claudia Paches, Jesse Steklo, Etel Adnan by video, Natalia Marina Fuentes Araya, Philip Berlin and Louise Dahl, Eileen Miles, Judith Girmay, Rachel Allen, Kenneth Goldsmith, Elise Burau, Horu Jan, Avida Biström and Maya Malulise, Robert Gluck, Luna Miguel, Giovanna Olmos herself with her own work, Georg Nordmark, Bunny Rogers, and Sophie Collins. A very, very warm welcome to all of you. So this was Ping, and now we're going to have Pong. Please give a very, very warm welcome to Simon Castet.
Hello, thank you for being here. I will be much more brief because we are on a tight schedule with lots of readings. Indeed, last year at the Luma Foundation, we presented together with Kenneth Goldsmith and Dennis Nelson the first iteration of Poetry Will Be Made by All, and it marked the first exhibition within the framework of our 89+ research project. But also then we celebrated the 89th birthday of Eugen Gomringa, who is seen by many as the founding father of concrete poetry. But he also brought our attention to the fact that 89 was a Fibonacci number. And his observation seems particularly relevant today, as we, together with Kenneth Goldsmith, Luna Miguel, Giovanna Olmos, and Catherine Dionysus, present an amped-up version of Poetry Will Be Made by All next to the extraordinary tower, spiraling work of Simon Denny and Alessandro Bava, which not only hosts treasure troves from the Moderna Museets collection, but also a selection of video works by Sarah Abu Abdallah, Emmanuel Iduma, Nina Djegic, Alexander Jackson Wyatt, Yolot Alvarado, Daria Bagajic, Philippe Timichel, Bruno Jou, Jasper Spicero, Bunny Rogers, Nicolas Korodi, Nicolas Maurer, Lulin Milhouse, and Adriana Ramic. There's also work by Jesse Steklo, who together with Christine Jackson did the amazing design for the exhibition. And also the entire library so far, the steadily growing library of 1,000 books by 1,000 poets, which we hope will grow even faster after this event today, and we encourage everybody to take part in this project. So this is actually going, this 1,000 books by 1,000 project is also spiraling out of control Fibonacci style, and I will, speaking of spiraling out of control, everything is falling off the hands of Giovanna. And please welcome everyone, the great poet, artist, and also co-curator of the Poetry Will Be Made by All after Babel edition. Thank you.
Okay, welcome everybody. Välkommen till Poetry Will Be Made by All. Ni kommer se, should I take it in English or Swedish? English? So you will see 21 performances by 25 different poets and artists. Hans already read all of them, so I won't do that. Instead, I'll invite you to enjoy. It will be around 3 hours, like a poetry marathon. Each performance is 9 minutes. There's some dance, some more experimental poetry, movement, acting, and yeah, that's about it.